April 19th, 1986. Wrestling history at the Superdome in New Orleans. Fans from all over the world came to see 24 of the greatest tag teams in the world. 5 of the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup and $1 million. Plus for the World Heavyweight title, Ric Flair, and a match for the UWA North American Heavyweight title. Let's go to the action.
Place to be, Wrestling Network fans. Welcome to episode 41 of NWA Crock and Roll, part 5 of April 1986, and we will look through the second round of the Crockett Cup 1986. I am not Sean Kidd, as you might have already gathered from that. I am your host for these next couple episodes, Calum. Sean is currently out. He is roaming the world once again, just looking at potential Crockett Cup host cities. He is actually this side of the pond. He is in London this week, looking at the Wembley Stadium bid, I believe. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're getting the WWE back. Fingers crossed we get the Crockett Cup fairly soon, but Sean will be reporting on that one. But you do still have the 3 of the 4 horsemen with you with you for this one. First off, Dr. G is returning from an absence in the last episode. Dr. G, welcome back.
I'm glad to be back. Thank you guys for covering me. I listened to the show. It sounded great. As always, looking forward to breaking things down tonight. And wow, I tell you, I can't believe we're at episode 41. When you said that, I was like, wow, we've done that many episodes already. It's crazy how fast time has gone. I feel like, we lost that 1 year in 2020. So it's everything to me just seems like a blur. But happy to be back. And thanks for filling in for Sean. I know you'll do a great job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it doesn't seem like episode 1 doesn't seem that long ago. We've only managed to, thanks to sort of worldwide pandemics and the great peacock transition of 2021. We've only actually gone through a year of Crockett, which is quite scary. The amount of content we've had in between, but yeah, April of 1986 has been excellent. There have been a few bumps in the road. If you remember back to episode 40, one of the bumps in the road was so great that the next horseman actually broke his microphone from ranting too much. That would be Mr. Scott Shiflett. Scott, have you calmed down since episode 40?
Yes, I have calmed down. I'm now relaxed and everything. I'm glad to talk about, hopefully we're coming to the end of this month in Crockett, because it feels like we've been here for the past 4 months. It's because we have, but it's just been an amazing time to talk about Crockett, and we're going to let the good times roll tonight, and I'll be on my best behavior.
We are coming to the end of April, but your best behaviour is not necessary. If you feel like we're going to get another shift shouts, then that's all fine and good with me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I have approval now.
This is my show tonight, and if you want to shout at the top of your lungs, then that's absolutely fine. Sean cannot do anything about it. So couple of bits of administration before we dive head first into the matches. We've got the champions roll call. Coming into this one, your champions are Ric Flair is still your world's heavyweight champion. Magnum TA is still US champion. Midnight Express are still your world tag team champions. The Russians are still the world 6-man tag team champions. Your Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champion is Black Bart. Tully Blanchard is the national heavyweight champion. The junior heavyweight champion is Denny Brown. And of course, Arn Anderson is the world television champion. We also have the first match of round 2. Or one of the first matches of round 2 we can cover off straight away. Dino Bravo contracted appendicitis before the show, so as much as we got Dino Bravo and Rick Martel in one of the Crockett Cup spotlights, they never actually made it to the Superdome. So Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Taylor get a forfeit victory over Dino Bravo and Rick Martel. And they will face the winners of the Russian team and Manny Fernandez and Jimmy Valiant. So I know I think I can speak for a lot of us that we're very disappointed not to be getting Dino Bravo. Gents, have you got anything to add about missing the greatness that is Dino Bravo?
I am bummed that we're not going to get Martel to see if he can get a reprieve, but they all can't be winners, sadly.
Agreed. I don't think anybody's going to get too upset about missing Dino Bravo. I know he's not alive anymore, so I don't want to talk bad about the dead, but I don't think he's going to. His match would have brought anything more to this card. So.
No, I think it's maybe addition by subtraction when it comes to that one. So we'll dive headfirst into the first proper match of round 2, which brings us the Road Warriors versus Wahoo McDaniel and Mark Youngblood. The Road Warriors came out to a very strange song. I was expecting the an absolute. I was expecting to get the adrenaline going with Iron Man coming, but it seems like it's a strange rap song that the Road Warriors do themselves. Very strange. We're looking forward to see if either of you guys have got any opinions on that. Match starts with Animal and Mark trading off before they both tag out, and of course we get some chops with Wahoo. There's a bit of a chop off between Hawk and Wahoo McDaniel. There is a ridiculous test of strength that Wahoo gets muscled out of, but then fights out. Animal comes in, but is shock horror chopped down by Wahoo. Youngblood then tags in and gets a drop kick on Hawk, but misses a clothesline, allowing Hawk to climb to the second rope and hit him with the flying clothesline for a very easy 3 count. As Wahoo just runs in and just stands and lets his partner get pinned. That was a very, very strange ending. I don't know if there was a bit of mistiming there. So it was fine. It was a match that happened, not terrible. Probably just worth a star and no more. It was fine. I'll go to Scott first. What do you think of this one, Scott?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what you said, Calum, but it's like Wahoo McDaniel's controller died when he ran into the ring and was just looking at the pin happen. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, I know you're a gamer as well. It's like his controller died in the middle of the play, and it was just like, I'm stuck here. I will say that chop fest between Hawk and Wahoo was pretty nice, and Hawk did have a nice clothesline from the top rope. One thing we did see in this Crockett Memorial Cup is it felt like a bunch of Survivor Series finishes where like it was like, not like their finishing move getting hit. It was like schoolboys or like we see here, a clothesline from the middle rope. So, I went 1.25 stars on this. It wasn't too bad. And the Warriors matches are best when they keep them short, and this was relatively short.
Yeah, I think from bell to bell it was no more than 5-6 minutes. I don't think it was. Perfect. It was. Yeah, I think that's all you need, especially when you've got the Road Warriors, as you say, and Wahoo, because one of the small positives that I can take from Wahoo recently is that he's not as bad if the match is kept nice and short and sweet as the Wahoo appearances, and that's how you get the best of him. Dr. G, what did you think about this this first match?
I agree with you guys. You have really 3 of the 4 in there that you need to keep the match short, and that's the Road Warriors and Wahoo, and that was perfect. I went 1.5 stars. I mean, it wasn't horrendous, but it wasn't anything to really write home about. I thought it was. I love the chop fest. That I love that kind of stuff anyway. So I agree with you, Scott, on that one. I didn't. The thing is, I agree with you on the Wahoo thing. It seemed like there was some kind of miscommunication there. I don't know if he was not supposed to be there, if they went home early. I'm not really sure. It just seemed very, very strange. And I agree with you. A lot of the finishes in these matches, and because it's a tournament, and again, you get some guys that are working, although these guys are pretty much all in the same company, but you get in intercompany matches. So you're kind of trying to be fair where you don't let anybody look too bad, if they lose. So, yeah, you're not going to see the regular moves, the finishing moves that you like to see. But like I said, it wasn't really anything offensive, but it was just there, And again, maybe if you had a little bit, some announcing in there, if we had some, maybe it might have helped a little bit. But other than that, I think it is what it was. So star and a half. I think we're all around the same amount.
Yeah, I think I think we're all roughly in the same ballpark. It wasn't anything spectacular, but yeah, wouldn't necessarily expect anything spectacular from what we've got for the guys that are in the ring, and if they're obviously one of them would need to work again at least once. So understandable from that point of view. So moving on to the next match, we have Jimmy Valiant and Manny Fernandez against the Russian team of Ivan and Nikita Koloff. Before the match, we get Pez Whatley and Paul Jones out to cut a promo in the ring on Jimmy Valiant and his lack of hair. After Pez, Shaska Whatley took a lock of it a few weeks back. Whatley says that Valiant is a yellow dog coward and a white Uncle Tom. He don't like ugly women and calls a woman ugly. And challenges Valiant to come and get his hair. He just keeps going. Just keeps going to Valiant. Saying he'll be laughing from the whooping he will put on his ass in a very typical, as we're coming to find, a very typical Crockett double entendre line there. Strange that they had this at this point. I would say not having it before the match in the previous round that we covered last episode, where Paul Jones and Whatley were actually at ringside, but I guess they obviously need a break in the action at some point. Jimmy comes out for his match with Bull, and the ref sends Jones and Whatley to the back. Then the Russians finally make their way out. The Russians make their way out with Eddie Gilbert, and it's all part of a Mid-South angle involving Gilbert and the Russians attacking Bill Watts. So the match itself, Eddie Gilbert starts talking away, thanking the Russians for letting him come to ringside, as he's leaning on a young Bruce Pritchard who's doing the ring announcing.
Yep.
Very babyface Bruce Pritchard in that one. So the match itself starts with a test of strength between Bull and Nikita, as Jimmy claps up and down like a madman on the apron. Of course, Nikita Koloff wins the test of strength, as you would expect. Bull cleverly escapes it by backing up into the corner, climbing the rope, and then leapfrogging Koloff, which was very well done. Ivan tags in as Manny Fernandez tags out to Valiant, who does the who comes in like a house of fire. All he really does though is a thumb to who gives Ivan a thumb to the throat and then tags back out for Bull to come in, then miss a drop kick, and we get Bear Hug City bitch after that for a while. Ivan then goes up to the top. Manny Fernandez manages to throw him off and tag in Valiant, who comes in like a house on fire again. It all breaks down. The referee pushes Manny into the corner, where Ivan, so he's distracted as Ivan throws Jimmy into the ropes, for Nikita then to nail him with an absolutely disgusting sickle from the apron, which I couldn't tell if it was with or without chain. Valiant ducks a clothesline from Ivan coming into the rope, only to go right into Nikita's right arm, which was a very, very well done finish. The finish aside, there wasn't much else to the match. It was slightly better than the first one, but again, not anything to write home about, given that again one of them's got to work again. I'm finding a common complaint from me as we go forward is that the matches all seem to be that the guys are working within themselves, because obviously there'll be another match or two for some of them. But it was fine. It wasn't anything better. So I've to say better than the first one, so a 1.5 for this one. So Dr. G, what are your thoughts on, first of all, the pre-match shenanigans and then the match itself?
The pre-match shenanigans, I it's coming back to me, that feud with Shaska Whatley. It amazes me is he's actually pretty good on the stick, and he's actually a pretty good heel. I was surprised he never really got a longer run than that. I mean, I don't know what the behind the scenes are. He have some issues behind the scenes. I have no idea, but I like it. I mean, I love the way they go at each other. It actually made us interested a little bit in not necessarily Jimmy Valiant himself, but at least any storyline he's in, because he's with the Shaska Whatley, storyline. So I thought that was kind of cool to still intertwine some of the storylines in the tournament. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of gives the fans who are watching, whether it be UWF or World Championship Wrestling, gives them, little taste of, it's not just match. There's a little bit of storyline involved. But the match itself, like you said, nothing crazy. I gave that one a 1.5 as well. Nothing, a typical Russians match. I mean, again, with Nikita, you got to keep the matches short.
Yeah.
So I 1.5.
No, that's fine. We're aligned on that one. Yeah, completely agree with everything that you've said there. Now, Chef, I know that you have been a massive fan of the whole Pez Whatley, Shaska Whatley heel turn. So I take it you must have been all in on the pre-match. But what are give us your thoughts about the whole package on this one?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna shock you with this one, Calum. I'm kind of over Pez or Shaska carrying the hair around, the piece of hair. I know it's only been like a week or two, but it feels like I've just been watching it for the past 4 months, so I'm like over it. But it's like I feel like this is pretty gross. And like Pez is just like repeating himself. Like it's like literally the same promo that we've heard before, except for we didn't have Paul Jones to tell him to wrap it up real quick. And then like I didn't understand why Eddie Gilbert showed up, so I'm glad that you explained that, because I was like, is he just trying to get heat with the Mid-South crowd? This match was not good. I actually had it worse than the previous match. I guess I was expecting more, but I gave it a star. Like, I was okay with Nikita just hitting the sickle, but I don't know if I felt it was too long. But I did not like this match one bit.
I don't disagree. I mean, like I said, it wasn't like, we've seen some really bad matches when doing this stuff. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't great. Obviously, if we're getting a star or a 1.5 around there, it's obviously not a great match. But I think with the Russians, I mean, obviously, you want to see those great Nikita clotheslines. But other than that, you're right. There wasn't really much to it. Maybe it was a little too long. Going back to what you're saying about Shaska Whatley, I mean, yes, he does, I guess, kind of repeat himself. I guess probably in this aspect because you may be getting a little bit of a new crowd watching it that wasn't watching, World Championship Wrestling, because you got some of the UWF fans. But my point with him was he actually could talk. We never knew that when we were watching him as just a, pretty much a jobber. every week. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he obviously is very good in the ring, so it's just he had to put it all together. Maybe a long range opportunity for him might not have worked. Maybe he just needed to do it in that little bit of just for that one storyline. Who knows? Because he didn't really do much after that, I don't think. Once he got over the Jimmy Valiant, if I remember correctly from years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'd heard like I think he ends up going to WWF as like a job guy.
Yeah, I think you're
maybe
right.
at the end of this year or within like the next 2 at the very least.
Yeah. So obviously maybe he had the shelf life with the character. Maybe it was the fact that he didn't have much more than what we're seeing. Maybe we just thought it was so cool because we're so bored of Jimmy Valiant that we thought that added a little spice to his storyline. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes on, and the next over the next month or so, that we cover.
Yeah, definitely, because it did get off to the hot start. It made us all interested in something that Jimmy Valiant was doing. But it's things like that. Yeah, to you guys' point, what is there else to do once he's moved on from this with Jimmy Valiant? But we'll see, we'll see about that in the coming weeks and months. So I'm guessing we're all really on the same page there that the match wasn't much to write home about. The finish was nice, but nothing more than that. So the next match that we have is the New Zealand Sheepherders against the Rock and Roll Express. So the Sheepherders came out with Jack Victory as normal. They salute their flag, much to the annoyance of the Rock and Roll Express, who then pull out the Stars and Stripes and salute the flag themselves. Starts with all 4 men at various points just beating on each other. Ricky throws Luke into the corner to take a kick from Robert. The Rock and Roll take turns tagging in and out, and Morton drop kicks both the Sheepherders out of the ring. Morton gets a 2 with a crossbody to Luke, who tags in Butch immediately after kicking out. But Ricky then gets a 2 on Butch himself with a sunset flip. Both men tag out. Gibson then misses a corner charge on Luke, who hits the post, and the Sheepherders then just take over and work on Gibson's arm. Outside the ring, Butch throws Robert Gibson's arm into the post, and Luke hits a diving headbutt from the second rope for 2 once he comes back into the ring. Robert leapfrogs over Butch and hits a drop kick to then make the tag. Morton comes in, works over both with the classic double, including a double head knocker. All 4 men come into the ring. It breaks down a bit. There is a double drop kick, and the Rock and Roll go for the pin, but Jack Victory is in the is behind the rest back, is able to hit Morton. Or is attempting to hit Morton, excuse me. Ricky intercepts him and grabs the flag, but hits him, and the bell rings. Hits him with a flag, the bell rings. The Rock and Roll Express lose by disqualification. A bit of more referee bullshit here. Technically, Ricky Morton didn't hit an active participant in the match. He hit the Sheepherders second. The crowd is not happy, and I'm nonplussed about it, to be honest. I'm really coming around on the Sheepherders from the last few episodes that we've seen, but very, very surprised that the Rock and Roll Express didn't progress. The match was very good. I feel up until the finish, which again, just some classic NWA referee BS for me. So 2 3/4 on this one. A better finish would have probably taken it to the 3 or over the 3 mark, but that's where we land on that one. So I believe it's back to Scott for this one.
Yeah, I agree, Calum. This was a hot match. I was equally shocked that Rock and Roll Express got eliminated so early. But like you said, like I'm becoming quickly a Sheepherders fan, and there's a tag team that I've become a bigger fan of that we'll be talking about actually next. I just love the tag team work that Robert and Ricky does. Like the hot tags are just amazing. Ricky comes in as a house of fire halfway through the match. He hits a double drop kick. Jack Victory, I'm glad we had already seen a couple Sheepherders matches where Jack Victory had gotten involved. So I'm glad that we got his comeuppance with this. But it just sucks that it was the flag, like the ref had to disqualify them. But like the bullshit chants from the fans, which I agree with because I wanted Rock and Roll to go further, but also this sets up a nice little. We know for sure, because with so many tag teams here, we know for sure that the main heel tag team is the Sheepherders. But yeah, I went 2 3/4. I would love to see more of these four going at it.
No, completely agree. If we can get more of this with a better finish, just keep them coming. Dr. G, what are your thoughts on this one?
So guys, I would have went 3 stars if it wasn't for the finish. So I same as you guys, I went 2 3/4 stars. I think the one thing about the Sheepherders, and I'm noticing, is that they can adapt to whatever team that they're fighting. If you want to have a brawling team, they'll brawl with you. If you want to have a little bit of brawling with some scientific, they'll be able to do that too. I mean, they're really much better than, obviously for younger fans, you guys know them as the WWE version of, Bushwhackers, the silly, goofy, but they could actually go in the ring. And I really enjoyed this match. I mean, you look at it on paper and you're like, wow, this is 2 contrasting styles, but I think the Sheepherders did a pretty good job. The one thing I just wanted to know from you guys, you notice the crowd, like you're not getting the Rock and Roll Express pop. You're not getting the Road Warriors pop. Do you think it's just because there's so many matches in a day and that the crowd's worn out, or because you've seen them already, or I don't know. It's just the crowd's not as hot as I thought it would be.
I definitely agree with that. They seemed very tired. It definitely seemed like one of those Mania crowds when they're an hour 7. Not good, because we are only in the second round, and I know this was they had a show in the afternoon and a show at night, but this crowd is dead. I don't know if it's because also it's in the Superdome and they were expecting 70,000 people, as Flair and Dusty both said they don't do jobs in front of 70,000 people, and only like 2,000 to 3,000 showed up. So I don't know if like all the sound is going upwards, so we really can't hear anything, because we can hear some of the people in the front row yelling stuff, but like you said, Dr. G, like it's relatively quiet. It's like a morgue, to be completely honest.
I mean there was some matches where the crowd was a little bit hot. It was just, I think I'm not a big tournament guy, so I kind of get it, because after a while I just think there's the luster wears off. Like, okay, maybe the first time you see that team, it's exciting, but then I don't know, you just get worn down from it. But in regards to this match, I mean, the 2 3/4 stars, I think we're right in match. I think we probably would have all given 3 stars, if the ending wasn't just so. But again, with these tournaments, that's what you're going to get sometimes, because again, the Sheepherders weren't in the Crockett area, so that nobody looks bad. And both teams could go home happy. Nobody's lost any luster there, but the crowd suffers for it. And the crowd is not happy, especially with the Rock and Roll Express, because people that's where they started their ascension was in Mid-South. So but I definitely enjoy watching the Sheepherders, I'm not gonna lie.
No, that from somebody who before had really limited experience of the Sheepherders being themselves, almost exclusively. My experience have almost exclusively been the Bushwhackers, and one match that we really watched. The only one I can really remember is one match we watched in one of the trips to Puerto Rico we had, which wasn't great. So yeah, these last couple of episodes with the Sheepherders has been a pleasing eye opener. But I think I don't know. I don't think I've mentioned any of the last matches, but I thought the crowd has been absolutely dead for especially the first match. You could hear a pin drop in the first match, and I was thinking, is it because of the camera? Is it they've not mic'd the crowd up or the ring up because they weren't intending on televising it? But I think Scott, I think you might have hit the nail on the head with it. It's just they've got so few people in such a big arena. It's just the noise is getting lost. But when you hear how pissed the crowd were for this one, that's how you know they were getting animated for this one. That's how annoyed they were. You could hear it when you haven't heard anything for the most part of the night. So we've finally got a bit of progress towards a good match. Likely going to keep up the momentum. The next match is the Fantastics versus the World Television Champion Arn Anderson and the National Heavyweight Champion Tully Blanchard, representing Jim Crockett Promotions and the Four Horsemen. First note on this one from myself is just four simple words. Here we fucking go. I'm really looking forward to this one before
you are correct, Calum. You are correct.
Yeah. Really looking forward to this one. I had high hopes, and I listened to our last episode on the way home from work in preparation for this one, and I criticised myself for getting in with too much hope for one of the matches and it not delivering. I can tell you straight away before we go into this one didn't disappoint me in the same way. So we start off the match with Tommy and Tully arguing outside as the Fantastics make their way around to greet their adoring fans. They get in the ring and they really just beat the crap out of each other to start with. Tommy coming out on top. He gets an atomic drop, but Tully then goes for a quick go behind and gets one of his own. But Tommy gets the better of him as he flips over and hits a drop kick to send Blanchard to the outside. Tully gets back in and tags in Arn, who Tommy then promptly tells him to kiss his ass. An arm shoulder block sends Rogers down. We get some punches and then Tommy gets a hip toss and two drop kicks out the corner, which sends Arn to the outside as the Fantastics celebrate as they're completely on top at this point. There's a tag to Fulton. Arn locks up and from the outside Tully then pulls Fulton's tights and drags him out of the corner. We get a tag to Tully, who comes in and immediately starts throwing forearms and throws Fulton into Arn's knee. Arn and Tully just start tagging in and out here, just keeping the fresh man in the ring. Tully goes for another atomic drop. Bobby gets him is then set about by JJ on the outside. The heels tag in and out, working over Fulton, as I say, who's tossed outside again, is worked over by Arn as the ref is busy pushing Fulton back into his corner. Arn hits a nice spine buster to Fulton for two, and they get more heel heat by working over Bobby Fulton. He gets thrown out to ringside, does Bobby, for a third time. Tommy's then had enough. He comes over and all four are brawling on the outside. Tommy ends up getting back to his corner, but Tully stops Bobby Fulton from making the tag. Arn is in, misses a knee to the corner, and Fulton then does get the hot tag. Rogers comes in like a house on fire on both the horsemen, hitting them with backdrops. But on the third attempt, Arn then takes him down with a nice gourd buster. Bobby stops the 3 count from happening. It's all again. It's just all breaking down. Tully runs in, but the referee pushes him back over to the corner. Arn is going for attempts a body slam, but Bobby Fulton comes in, drops kick Tommy Rogers on top for the 1, 2, and the 3 count. The crowd goes insane as JJ Dillon goes nuts on the outside as the Fantastics have beaten and knocked out Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard from the Crockett Cup. Massive upset. Didn't see this one coming. It was a banger as I thought, but in the last two matches, you've seen two of the favourites eliminated. One downside to that is we didn't get the Rock and Roll Express and the Fantastics at any point in the tournament, but that match was wonderful to watch. This one does go over the 3-star mark. We go 3.25 for this one, but my goodness, this is what we were looking forward to on this one. So Dr. G, you're up first for hopefully gushing comments on this one.
Well, if it's Arn, then I'm giving some great comments. Yep, I went 3.25 on this. I enjoyed the match. One thing I noticed, the Fantastics, and obviously I think the Fantastics were in Mid-South at this time. They actually had a louder pop. I mean, again, I don't know how the whole show was because we're not watching it all together. Then the Rock and Roll Express, the crowd was really into them. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
They definitely loved them. Like it was awesome.
I mean, they were kind of like, you would thought that they were the champs the way they, the crowd was for them. But one thing what I love about when I watch a Tully and Arn match is how they cut the ring in half. Like they take control. I love the way they work together. They're just a fine-tuned machine. Obviously, the Fantastics work very well together as well. I just think a great mixture of styles here. I think it's one of those things I would love to actually see another match with the two teams again, which I'm not going to say that a lot in this over the next few weeks, but I definitely would love this one. So, yeah, you got to go 3.25 on this. I mean, you could even go 3.5, like you're splitting hairs here, but I really, really enjoyed it. I was definitely the best match of what we've seen so far up until this point.
Oh, yeah, by far on that one. Scott, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh my God, I love this match. We had seen the Fantastics before, and I was like a fan, but this match made me a fan. Arn and Tully, we already know how great they are as tag team wrestlers, but Fantastics brought it right back to them. They were both on the same level. I was loving, how they were just they beat the hell out of Bobby all over the ring. They cut him in. Then they did a great job of cutting off the ring on Bobby Fulton. Like they wouldn't let him in. They weren't allowing the hot tag, which I thought was great. Like, they were, and then Tully was trying to like holding the tights on repeated pins. And then they Tommy Rogers has the most beautiful drop kick I think I've ever seen in wrestling. I know I said that a couple episodes ago. It still holds true. And like they finally get the hot tag to Rogers. He's going crazy. Arn hits my favorite move, the Gourd Buster, which I pray someone brings back. I know I say that every episode, but God, it's such an awesome move. And then like I was shocked that the Fantastics won. I really thought I was coming in here. I was going to see Arn and Tully win. They'll coast to the finals just because this is, the Crockett Cup. So with NWA, but no, we see the Fantastics win. I went 3.5 stars. I loved this match. And it's not even the best match that the Fantastics have this weekend.
High praise there from Mr. Schiffler there. I'm just looking over on this one. 4.25 I got from Meltzer, which you know what? It's not not really in the same ballpark as we gave it, but my God, I'm not going to argue with him when it comes to that one. Anything from what we've given up the way is probably fully deserved. On for this one. So moving on, I think we'll we could be getting something of even higher quality in this one, as we have Jimmy Garvin and Black Bart taking on the Japanese team of Tiger Mask and Giant Baba. I cannot wait to hear the comments on this one, Mr. Schiffler. So we start off with Pritchard reading off the events which are coming up, as Baba comes in. very, very strange looking individual, which I think we did comment on the last one. He's just very the whole. It doesn't look as if he's it looks as if he's ready to. His body is just ready to give in at any point. He's just very gangly. Is the best way I can describe him. But thankfully, we Tiger Mask starts off the match, which is let down by the fact that Black Bart is the one that he's starting the match off for. We have they were attempting a test of strength. Tiger Mask then does some more high flying stuff and hits a nice sliding drop kick to the outside to send Garvin into the rails, which the crowd did like. To be fair, Giant Baba comes in and just absolutely beats the ever loving piss out of Black Bart for a while. He is quite a scary looking man when he's trying that. Garvin then comes in but gets more of the beat down treatment from Baba, including a pile driver. Very strange to see. Tiger Mask comes in, has the back drop to Bart. The heels then take over and work over Tiger Mask. Garvin gets a small package for the two. Tiger Mask does eventually get the tag to Giant Baba, who is a bit clumsy, but eventually does manage to shoulder block Garvin down. Bart comes in, throws Baba into the ropes, but gets is only the recipient of another shoulder block from Baba, and another shoulder block before he double chops Bart down. Gives him the throat, gives him a throat chop. Tags in Tiger Mask, who picks up Black Bart only to hit a top rope body press for a 2 count. Tiger Mask then tags Giant Baba back into the match. Baba throws Bart into the rope and a kick to the chest for the 3 count. It was that match was a thing. To me, it seemed a bit disjointed at times, but I don't know if that's just a case of Garvin and Bart aren't potentially used to working with guys of Giant Baba's stature, shall we say. And certainly Tiger Mask is completely different to a lot of things we see. The crowd were not happy that the Japanese team won, but it was fine. You know, it was inoffensive stuff. Not the worst match we've seen so far. So 2 stars from me, and I believe it is Scott. We start off with comments for this one.
Well, you're right. It was a match. Giant Baba looks like a created wrestler from the PS2 WWE games. Just he's so blocky. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. Tiger Mask, that was my first time seeing him. I know a lot of people say like they loved his high flying moves. I guess that was okay in 1986. 2022 does not work the same. I will say when Baba gets in, he is chopping the hell out of some wrestlers. But the crowd did like Tiger Mask jumping up and, getting everything. Jimmy almost killed Tiger Mask by dropping his throat first on the rope. I'm not sure if Tiger Mask was expecting that or it was just a hell of a sell, but either way, it looked really bad. Giant Baba also bitch slapped Black Bart like Black Bart owed him money. So I'm not sure if it was like just a language barrier thing when they were trying to call this. But also Baba wrestles like he's underwater in slow motion. It's the weirdest thing. But I wouldn't a star and a half. Like this, it was more of a spectacle than anything for seeing Baba and Tiger Mask up. Black Bart was okay. Garvin was just there as well. I thought it was a waste of Garvin with how he's been pushed with Wahoo. But yeah, someone had to lose, and I guess it had to be these 2 guys.
Yeah, I like the description that Baba is like a created wrestler, but he's certainly like a created wrestler when messing about with the proportions of the man. So you give him very tiny legs but a massive barrel chest just to see what he looks like. And you get a bit of a monstrosity. Not saying, God rest his soul. Not saying he's a monstrosity, but he's a very strangely proportioned man. What was Giant Baba? Dr. G, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I don't know what to say. I gave a 1.5 stars, like Scott. I didn't realize that Giant Gonzalez was around in the 80s, because that's what Giant Baba. I heard so much about Giant Baba. Wow, I don't know if maybe I'm just being critical. I just think he was horrendous. I thought his chops looked crappy. He, like you said, like Scott says, he looks like he's underwater the way he's fighting. Like everything was like slow motion to me, watching him. And obviously Black Bart is who he is. He's so you're not obviously Bob is not going to enhance him. Tiger Mask was pretty good. He's another one that I've heard so much. Isn't they say that Dynamite Kid patterned himself after him, or they had some big matches in Japan at that time?
I think it's big matches that they had.
Yeah. So I don't know if he was just not working with the right people, and we didn't really get to see the full breadth of what Tiger Mask could bring to a match. But I remember hearing so much about the legend of Giant Baba. He was horrible. I'm sorry. I mean, yes, he is an awkwardly shaped person in terms of in the ring, but I thought he slowed the match down. I didn't think he brought much to it. So that's why I gave a 1.5 stars. Again, I probably gave a 1.5 stars because Tiger Mask wasn't too bad, and Garvin didn't do too much. I thought, like you said, Scott, I think it was a waste of his capabilities and the stuff that he was doing with Wahoo at this point. But I'll 1.5 stars. That's as good as I'm gonna go on that one.
No, that's absolutely fair. So, looking at some of the reviews on Cage Match for Tiger Mask, he is an average rating of 8.51, with 38 people rated him 10 out of 10. Now, I think that might be for more of his work as a promoter. But looking at the first two comments, Leon wrote in July of 2012, he is easily one of the most technical and scientific wrestlers of all time who stood 6'6" or taller. And then a year later, Boris the Menace says, I don't think I ever enjoyed a match of Baba. To me, he always seemed clueless in the ring. I think I know which side of the fence we are going to come down on, and it's not with the first comment. I wonder if his big thing was he was like the Japanese Andre. You're never going to get a 5-star classic out of him, but he's got a presence. I think he's an attraction. Where one of the comments said that all his best matches he was in, or all the best matches he was involved in, were tag matches because you couldn't trust him to put on a good singles match, which I could understand. I can see why that's possibly the case.
Definitely.
But anyway, the good thing is we get to see more Giant Baba as the tournament rolls on. So I know we're all looking forward to that one. But the tournament does roll on as we get Magnum TA and Ronnie Garvin still with his hand taped up from the altercation with Tully previously against Rick Steiner and Buzz Sawyer. So Garvin protecting the kayfabe there with the hand taped up. Faces begin the match working over Buzz with some arm work, but he almost got hit. He always get hit with a headshot to the nuts, trying to do a leapfrog, which could have been quite painful. Steiner tags in, but Garvin just chops the ever-loving shit out of him, which is always good to see. The faces then work over Steiner's arm. Steiner manages to get Magnum into his corner, and then the heels start to pummel down on Magnum TA. Buzz is in with an eye rake, so forearms, and then we get some headlocks from the heel team. Magnum runs Rick into the turnbuckle to break the latest headlock. Buzz gets tagged in, hits a nice suplex on Magnum. Magnum just keeps fighting away for the tag to Garvin. Steiner misses a backdrop and gets kicked in the face, which allows Magnum the time to tag in Garvin, who comes in like the proverbial house on fire, with chops and punches to both heels. He then tags Magnum back into the back in. Steiner gets whipped into the ropes and into a Magnum belly to belly for the 3 count. Nice finish, nice match. It went at a fair clip. It was only about 5 minutes long, which given some of the times in some of the other matches seems like it's a bit of a waste. I think if they had longer, you might have got something. You might have got something really good. But as it was, we only got the 5 minutes. So middle of the road on this one. Just based on what we got, not what could have been. Probably about two. I've got 2.5. I've got between 2.25 and 2.5. But I'm feeling generous. I'll go 2.5 on this one. So Dr. G, what are your immediate thoughts on this one?
I'll tell you the truth. I'm not a big Buzz Sawyer fan. I know that Sean gives me a little crap for that, but I wasn't a bad match. I gave it 2.25 stars.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I like the finish actually. I kind of liked how he worked right into that belly to belly, and that Rick Steiner was still pretty green at this point. I'm thinking he didn't really come into his own until he went in, came to World Championship Wrestling or, Crockett, the Crockett area. So I thought, it was, what's interesting is watching TA and Garvin as a team, right? Isn't that like two contrasting styles a little bit, but they actually work pretty well together considering, that they just kind of a makeshift tag team. So yeah, I nothing offensive there. Just 2.25 stars. I'll go.
No, perfectly fair. Can't disagree with anything there. Scott, what are your thoughts?
I enjoyed this. I went 2 stars just for how short it was. I will say that Ronnie was trying to shoulder block Rick Steiner a couple of times, and he was unable to. So he just bitch smacked Rick, which I thought was great. It shows how tough he is. I was shocked at how much Magnum was on defense this whole time, as Buzz and Rick double teamed him some. And then Rick had Magnum in a headlock, but he was able to get out of it. And then Ronnie, instead of Magnum being the hot tag, it was Ronnie that was the hot tag. And then he tags in Magnum for the win. And they had a nice little double team move. They were showing their chemistry as a tag team, because I don't think they had tagged much before the show. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I went 2 stars. I wish it was a little bit longer.
No, absolutely. I can't remember much of seeing Garvin and Magnum together, unless they were together for the occasional 6-man. But they did work well as a team, and which is good for us, because we will see them as with that one. We will see them later on in the tournament. So moving on to the last match of the second round. So everyone just buckle in. We're in for a long one here. It's the Midnight Express against Sam Houston and Nelson Royal. So match begins. The heels work over Houston, immediately tagging in and out to work over him. Sam gets a knee to Condrey's head on a backdrop attempt and tags in Nelson. Royal then fights off both heels. He gets an abdominal stretch onto Condrey. The ref is arguing with Houston about something, and Bobby comes off the top rope onto Nelson's back for the 3 count in a whopping 1 minute and 12 seconds for the World Tag Team Champions. nothing really to write home about. I've not even got a rating for it. It was that short. It was blink and you'll miss it stuff. But it just seems like it was a match that they've got this thrown together team who had their match in the first round will get them out immediately, and it gives the Midnight Express an easy win to get them through to the next round. So it is what it is. It's a match that happened to basically tick a box to get somebody through to the next round. Scott, do you have any comments whatsoever on this one?
I just feel Midnight Express was wasted. I gave a quarter of a star. This was a nothing match. Like, there was an axe handle to Royal's back, and that was it. Like, this is what I was talking about. There's like the Survivor Series endings. It's like, really, Nelson Royal couldn't take their special, like their finisher. Just absurd. A waste of Midnight Express. I would be pissed if I was there. All 2,000 of them.
Well, at least they're going to get, if any of them have bought a ticket to the evening one, they'll get to see them again. But I imagine you only bought a ticket to the afternoon show because you were working or something at night, and you only got to see the Midnight Express for a minute. You'd be absolutely furious. Dr. G, do you have anything on this 5-star classic?
To be honest with you, I blinked and it was over. I can't really give it a rating. I mean, I don't know. I can't say it's a bad match, but I can't say it's a good match. So I guess you just kind of, I'm gonna say no rating at all for that one.
Yeah. No. Don't blame me. I've not got a rating for it either. But ever the professionals, ever the completionists, we do cover it for you. We do let you know that it did happen. As the Midnight Express move on to the next round of the Crockett Cup, which we will discuss in our next episode, because after that Broadway that the Midnight Express and Nelson Royal and Sam Houston went, Ric Flair might call himself the 60-minute man. Nelson Royal was the 60-second man, and that's probably for a good thing. So we'll take a pause there from the Crockett Cup, and we'll pick that up in a couple of weeks' time on the next episode. But fear not, as we are heading straight to WrestleRock 86, which happened the day later. I believe it was in the Metrodome in Minneapolis? Was it the Metrodome they had? Yes. So WrestleRock 86, as we said in the last one, was the day after. We have a match between two teams who were not in the cup this year. For the AWA World Tag Team Champions, it's the Long Riders against two guys who you might have heard of, Scott Hall and Curt Hennig. So Hall and Hennig cut a promo on the Long Riders, telling them that the time for talking is over, and the Long Riders come out on motorcycles with Born to Be Wild blazing through the tannoy system, and the crowd is going absolutely insane. Not the type of entrance you would see. You would tend to think you would see from the AWA, but I think they were going all out in this one. I believe this is the show that they also tried to get Prince to perform at, which is why it's at such a big arena. Prince had a prior engagement, probably didn't want to be seen associating himself with the AWA in 1986.
The prior engagement was literally anything else. Yeah,
it was Vern Gagne phoned him up and says, "Do you want to perform at WrestleRock?" He goes, "WrestleMania." He goes, "No, WrestleRock." He goes, "No, fuck that." He would have performed at WrestleMania if Vince had given him anything that's not the AWA. Hall and Hennig came out with no real entrance compared to what came before. We have previously watched the Long Riders, and during the time that we were cock blocked, during the transition of 2021 in matches with the Road Warriors. Scott Hall before the match is presented with a trophy for being the most popular wrestler. So congratulations to Scott Hall back in April of 1986. Our commentary team for this one is the dynamic duo of Larry Nelson and Ron Trongard. So this has been the build up to this one has started when Curt Hennig suffered a throat injury because of the Long Riders, and we all know how Sean, if you're listening, we all know how you're such a big fan of throat injuries starting the run up to big matches. So Bill Irwin is very vocal as Hog Irwin is starting out against Scott Hall. Hall is grinding in a headlock, and then Curt comes in and does the same, following a tag. Scott then tags in Bill and is immediately met with a Hennig drop kick and headlock. As someone named George Latimer is recognised in the crowd, who is after some research, I found he's a Democratic politician and not the father of Tom Latimer, current NWA superstar. Hall's tagged in with more headlocks and then works over the arm. They're really playing into the crowd that they've got here. There's a tag that Bill doesn't notice to Curt, and is then met with a drop kick for his troubles for a 2 count. Curt and Bill Irwin then just get themselves into a nice slugfest. There is more headlocks after that. Both men miss elbows on each other, and then we go back into another headlock, which Bill tries to roll over to get a pin 3 times. In succession, pulling tights, but doesn't manage to get the 3 count on any of them. Bill drops down, and we get a crisscross spot where Curt lays next to him, and then Bill is forced out of the ring. The crowd are going absolutely nuts for Curt. There's a test of strength. Hennig forces Bill into the ropes and does a monkey flip while still holding Bill with both his hands, and rolls over on top of him for a 2, which we thought was nicely done. Bill finally gets a knee and a tag to Hog, who comes in and slams Curt. Bill immediately tags back in and absolutely kills Hennig with a clothesline that flips him up into the air. And even in 1986, Curt Hennig could sell like a mofo. Almost perfect selling, if you ask me. Pause for effect. Heels then work over Curt Hennig some more. Bill misses a second rope splash, and Curt finally gets the tag into Hall. Hall comes in, slams Bill, beats up Hog, and a noggin knocker to both of them. Tags Hennig back in, who throws Bill into the ropes, and Curt hits an absolutely spectacular drop kick, right on the money, and all 4 are. It's all broken down with all 4 in the ring. Bill then throws Curt over the top rope, but he walks into a slam from Scott Hall. Hog then throws Hall out the ring. It's all happening here, and goes after him. Curt is back to the ring. He's climbing up the top rope and hits a top rope drop kick on Bill Irwin for the 3 count. So it was all happening at the end there. Hog comes back in and clocks Curt with a motorcycle boot and then hits Hall. After the match, the faces cut a promo on being hit with boots. With the boots, it had its slow spots. There was a lot of headlocks, but the crowd were absolutely loving it. Curt Hennig looked like an absolute star in this one. Bill Irwin had his good points too. It was just it had some good stuff in it. 2.75 for me, which was I feel was deserved, and very wasn't expecting I would be given this match a rating like that, because I didn't know what to think of that one, but when we started. So I think I've lost track. I think it's Dr. G. I'm going to first for the comments on this one.
Yep. So I tell you the truth, I kind of remember this show a little bit because I've seen it a few times. I couldn't believe, you when you see Scott Hall talk and you like see him like with the mustache, the Magnum PI look, and with that voice where you want to hear Razor Ramon come out, or you want to hear the Scott Hall of the NWO. It's really weird. But in terms of the match, I remember Scott Hall and Curt Hennig being a tag team together, and they were pretty decent. And I didn't know what to expect either with this match. So I gave 2.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It kept my interest. I wasn't looking at my phone or doing something else while I was watching it. So like I said, that it does that means it has my attention. So I just thought the back and forth, honestly, on paper, I thought that Hall and Hennig would have won pretty easily, but it wound up being a better match than I expected. So, and the crowd was really hot for it too. It was weird how they set everything up in the the Metrodome. I'm not sure how many they had there. They probably had maybe like 25,000, 30,000 there, if that. But yeah, I thought I was pleasantly surprised. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm feeling exactly the same way. I don't know what I was expecting before it, but I wasn't expecting what we got. So yeah, pleasantly surprised. Scott, do you want to round us out for the episode with your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like this match. Little note: this is like one of Scott Irwin's last matches before he passed away of a brain tumor. So I did some research to see what they did before. I know the other Irwin becomes the Goon, Wild Bill. So I was just wondering like what happened, but I thought it was very cool. They had the entrance they had. They kind of felt like little Road Warrior-esque. I know we had seen them battle the Road Warriors when they came out on their motorcycles. And it starts off hot. I was shocked that Scott Hall won Most Popular, and they had the trophy out there, and the trophy did not come into play at all. I thought that was like obvious foreshadowing that we were going to have.
I would have mentioned that. Yeah, that's a good point.
And Hennig, like you guys said, is just bumping like crazy. I was shocked at the start how little offense the Long Riders actually got. I thought that was going to set up for them to get like the surprise win with Hall and Hennig taking most of the match at first. But I just loved it, and like you said, Calum, Curt's missile drop kick was awesome, and then the Irwins even get their heat back after the match. They're beating the hell out of the champs. I gave was 3 stars. I was pleasantly shocked at how good it was.
Nice.
We're all around the same amount with the match tonight. I have to say, we're all within half a star, quarter star of each other.
Yeah, that's a shocker. I think it's because Sean's not here.
I think that's exactly what it is. No, yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's I've got the same note. So this is Scott Irwin's last match. I think they found his tumor about a week or so later. So this was it, and obviously unfortunate because it ended up going the way it did for him, which is tragic. But this match this feud had some legs on it. So unfortunate all round, but certainly for Scott, who would he would retire once he found that, and then unfortunately pass away on that one. But yes, what a way to go out. If you're going to choose to have your last match, you might as well choose make sure it's a banger. So that is it for this episode, gents. Coming up in the next one, we have got obviously the conclusion of the Crockett Cup, all the way through to the final, and we will revisit WrestleRock 86 for another couple of matches from there. In a couple of weeks' time, that'll be on episode 42. But in the meantime, Scott, tell the wonderful people out in podcast land what you've got coming up in between them.
Yeah, you guys can check out Pop Goes to the Basement. We're currently reviewing Pop Goes to the Couch, currently reviewing Moon Knight. We're doing a great time with that. I can be just check out all the pods here. There's so much. Everyone's just knocking it out of the park recently. Well, they have been, forever. But I can be found on Twitter at Scott_Shiflett.
Excellent. Dr. G, same to you.
Well, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., the NWA Saturday Special drops with my co-host, the Podfather himself, Scott Criscolo. We break down the new NWA, or the current NWA, if you want to call it that. And things are heating up, and we just got some announcement of a new pay-per-view recently that'll take place in Knoxville. So there's a lot of great stuff going on. So, make sure to keep listening every week. We'll keep you updated, and I can be reached on Twitter at Dr. G PTB.
Wonderful. For myself, you'll hear one more episode of, or you may have already heard one last episode of the Special Relations for the time being, as Mr. McNamara goes off to do some life things. We will have something to plug the gap, but it just won't be with the podcast legend. Will be conspicuous by his absence on that one. We look forward to having him back. We will be back, so don't worry about that. Also, one of the talking heads on PTB and Pedestal. The last episode, as you're listening to this, was myself, Logan, and Ben talking through the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match from WrestleMania 10. And if you've heard the episode that myself and Logan were part of with a previous Shawn Michaels match, I think you might understand where this one is going to end up. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who was involved and came along to watch us and listen along with the WrestleMania weekend of Twitch feeds and YouTube feeds. It was greatly appreciated. We had an excellent weekend of content came out, and then for a couple of weeks after that, Schiff, you were mentioned in one of the highlights. So as much as you weren't with us there, you were with us in spirit.
Thank you.
So if you could follow those channels, it is twitch.tv/Place to Be Nation, PTBN, Place to Be Nation, all one word on YouTube, PTBN Live on Facebook, and at PTBN YouTube on Twitter. And it'll be greatly appreciated. Well, thank you very much, gents. It's been another wonderful episode of Crock and Roll. We'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time for part 6 of April. Part 6 of 7 of April. So we'll round off the Crockett Cup in a couple of weeks' time, and then we'll round off the month of April after 3.5 months of us doing it. And the episode after that, we might finally get on to May before the summer comes along, gents, which would be nice. But until then, thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to listen, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.